Hey everyone, welcome back to the Windy City Sports Live. Apologies for my voice sounds even worse than it does usually because I had a little seasonal allergies. My throat feels like shit right now. But as so, I'm going to give a quick little briefing, like the rest of the Chicago Bears season. So as you all know, we won 16-13 against the Carolina Panthers in pretty close fashion. We mainly won because the defense did a great job at stopping the Panthers. Like the offense itself, the Panthers did not score on offense. They only scored off of a punt and return. That was the only way they scored. Other than that, it's just field goal. It was just a couple field goals and one extra point from Eddie Pinheiro, former Chicago Bear kicker. Meanwhile, for the Bears defense, they were just locked down the whole game. Montez Sweat bringing a lot of pressure. Yannick Ngakoue got a sack. Rasheem Green got a sack. Justin Jones with another sack, very underrated defensive tackle. Not one of the best, but he's not one of the worst either. Oh, excuse me. So now I'm going to briefly look over to the rest of the schedule for the Bears because we have the same amount of wins as last year. The question is, can we get more than three? That is the main question. We don't want to go 3-14 again. It don't seem like we have had no improvement at all. So, which, to be honest, the way the games feel at times, we have not had much improvement. Matter of fact, is the way we were on passing defense, we regressed from last year. So I'm going to briefly give a quick look at that. So yeah, as you can see here, to start it off, let's look at our offensive metrics. So far, we're around the middle of the pack. We average 322, 323 yards per game across the board. Passing wise, we are bottom 10 again. We are bottom 10. We average 187, 188 yards per game. Then in terms of rushing, we we are much better in that category. We average 135 yards per game on the ground, which is a slight regret now compared to last year. Let's compare the offense to last year. Last year we had the number one rushing offense league, averaging 177 rushing yards. So we really didn't regress as a rushing offense. We just went from first to fourth because other teams in the league got a little bit better on the ground. Passing wise, we somewhat improved. We averaged 130 yards per game in the air last season, which is barely an improvement to be honest. Because yeah, we average 187 pass yards. So that's a slight improvement, not really a great. And then yeah, we're middle of the pack, 322 yards per game. Whereas compared to last year, we were one of the worst off it. We averaged 307, so not that much of a difference, but we were slightly better compared to last year. Defense, meanwhile, this year, to start it off, our defense is mediocre, average 324.2 yards per game, around top 15. So it's not bad. It's not that great, to be honest. Passing defense, bottom seven in the league, averaging 248.2 yards per game in the air. On the ground, meanwhile, we have the second best rush defense in the league, averaging 76 yards per game. Now, last year, we actually, so in terms of total defense, we somewhat improved. We averaged 375 yards allowed per game last year. The rushing defense, we greatly improved. Last year, we had the second worst running defense in the league, averaging 157 yards allowed on the ground. The problem with that is we regressed as a passing defense. Last year, we were one of the upper middle tier passing defenses, averaging 218 yards per game allowed. Now we are one of the worst passing defenses in the entire league. So that's one clear regression that we've gotten from Matt Eberflus's defense. Maybe that's a result of maybe Alan Williams was actually doing a good job last year with the pass defense. I have no idea, to be honest with you. So clear regression right there on passing defense. There's a lot of regression, somewhat slight improvements. Now, the rest of the schedule we got left for the next 3 weeks, it's NFC North divisional matchups between the Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings, and the Detroit Lions again. Now, concerning that, the Lions, I honestly think we're gonna get swept by them. So that's like two more losses. The Vikings, we maybe could get a win. We kept it. Oh yeah, against the Vikings, 19-13. That was with Fields and then Bajan coming in. We could possibly keep it close. The Vikings passing defense is not that great. As you so yeah, start off Vikings passing defense, it's around bottom middle of the pack, 225 yards allowed per game. The run defense is really what kills Minnesota. It's slightly better, 102 yards, but they used to be pretty bad on the run D. In terms of rushing offense, the Vikings still have they're still notorious for not being good with a run all year. Fourth worst in the league, averaging 81 yards per game on the ground. But their passing offense is what makes them dangerous, second in the league, averaging 273 yards per game. Their offense as a whole is top 10. So expect them to throw. They're going to throw the ball quite a lot, even with Josh Dobbs. I mean, he's looking great. The Vikings just beat the Saints actually about an hour ago. Almost Derek Carr tried to Hail Mary it and they couldn't get it. But anyway, we could maybe get a win on the Vikings. We're gonna have to kill them on the ground, and hopefully, by the time Fields will come back, he better come back because you can't put Bajan against the Lions; he'll get killed. And even then, you need to see what Fields can do in these last few weeks of the season. So I think we could get a win against the Vikings right there. So that gives us a 4-win, which is automatically improvement from last year. Then after the Lions on December 17th, we face the Cleveland Browns. Now that's a squash match. We can't win that at all. That's almost impossible. Their offense is not that much better than ours, about 5 yards higher per game. Passing offense wise, the Bears actually have the Browns beat in that category by like 3 yards. Then the rushing offense, Cleveland has us beaten that one just by a bit. We're both good at the run, but we're slightly better than them at the pass. Problem is, their defense is much better than ours. Their defense is the best in the league, 234 yards a game. We are around the middle of the pack. Passing defense, first in the league again. We are one of the worst at the passing defense. Rushing D, they're one of the best, but we are better than them at that. I mean, theoretically, the Bears could get points. The problem is that Browns defense, Smith, you got Zadarius Smith, you got Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Myles Garrett. You got all those pieces in Cleveland. We don't have that per se on the defense. We have a lot of pieces, but not the way the way Cleveland's doing it. Their defense is just meshing together perfectly, and it's been dominant all season. I mean, they've had so many close wins where they've just blown people out of the water. So that one's a loss. Cardinals, we could beat the Cardinals per se because they're only just getting back Kyler Murray and their team as a whole. Like other than the run game, James Conner's back. By the way, I need to put him back on my fantasy. Cardinals have one of the worst passing offenses you can see here, 289.7 yards per game. Passing offense, again, second worst, 162.7 yards. That could improve with Kyler Murray. Then rushing offense, they're one of the best in the league, even without James Conner. He's supposed to be coming back soon. Then the defense, that's honestly their Achilles heel. One of the worst defenses in the league, having 352 yards per game allowed. Passing defense, the Cardinals are better than us, 223 to 251 yards allowed per game, so about 30-yard difference. The run defense is where we have them beat by a wide margin. The Cardinals are one of the worst run defenses, so we could theoretically kill them on the run and maybe do some damage on the pass. But that all depends on how Murray plays the next couple weeks. If Kyler Murray brings the Cardinals to a much better record, then at that point I might have to write that off as a loss. But either way, I'd almost want, depending on how Arizona goes the next couple weeks, I'd rather we lose that so we can improve our draft capital, like maybe get to that number one overall pick. Because honestly, if Caleb Williams doesn't want to play for us, well, then let's not do what the Buccaneers did all those years ago when they drafted Bo Jackson. After he had told them, "I will not play for you. You are wasting a draft pick on me." I don't think the Bears would do that. What the Buccaneers did, where when their owner tried to offer them real estate. Oh, that was awful. If you're a Buccaneers fan and you watch this, you'll know exactly what I mean. I'm not even going to say the dude's name because Buccaneers fans of old hate him. They hate his guts before the Glazers took over. So yeah, I would prefer we lose to the Cardinals so we can improve our draft odds. But if we win, we can still theoretically win that. The Falcons. The Falcons are one of the more confusing teams really to make to get an opinion about. I mean, right here, the Falcons, their offense as a whole, as just it's been going down a bit, but it's still very dangerous, averaging 344 yards per game. Their passing offense, top 15, just barely, sometimes barely out of the top 15, averaging 19 passing yards per game. Their rushing offense is one of the best in the league, averaging 124 yards per game. Their defense, meanwhile, sixth best in the league, averaging 304 yards per game. Then their passing defense, again, top 10 at 197 yards per game. Run defense, now that's where 108 yards. So we probably could lose this. We could win because of the fact that Arthur Smith just doesn't know what he's doing. Clearly, I mean, earlier today, he just used Bijan Robinson as a punt returner. A punt returner? That makes no sense. He's a running back. Why are you you're gonna get him hurt that way. Even then, they seem to be allergic to using the offensive weapons they've drafted. They drafted Drake London. They traded away Calvin Ridley, but yeah, they have London. They got Pitts. They got Robinson. They're just allergic to using their weapons apparently, no matter what quarterback they have. So that could we theoretically could get 5 to 6 wins against if because we could beat the Vikings, we could beat the Cardinals, and we maybe could beat the Falcons. So our ceiling right now is 6 wins. Our floor right now, I believe, would be 4. We're getting at least 1 win out of the next couple weeks. That's our floor. Our floor is going to be 4 wins. Then the Packers, I mean, they just lost the Steelers. They've been so inconsistent all year, and their O line has been battered to hell and back. We theoretically could win that game. So now I got our ceiling as like 7 wins max. Our floor is 4, maybe 5 if you want to stretch that a little bit. Yeah, 4 to 5 wins minimum, 7 wins max. We're not going to the playoffs. We can at least improve our record. That will raise our draft pick a little bit, but Carolina, they're not that good. They're even worse. So we'll still have a pretty high pick as long as other teams keep winning or losing, depending on where they are in the draft board. I don't want to. The Giants, that's a tricky situation right there because if they want Caleb, well, you got Daniel Jones right there. The Cardinals physically can't move Murray. His contract was one of the biggest and one of the most guaranteed, so you can't move him. You're stuck with him. And even then, Murray will probably say, like, go get me this. So the Cardinals theoretically could trade back. I don't want them to do that because then someone's going to jump ahead. And if they take Drake May, like if Fields doesn't perform, I want the Bears to maybe go get Drake May if Fields continues to underperform the next several weeks, or if he has so many bad games to the point where they decide to just yank him out and pull in Brandon Tyson Bagent. But that's all I really got here for today on the Windy City Sports Live. Make sure to check out the blog post. I'll link that in the description. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll make sure to also link the podcast as well. More episodes will be coming soon. We'll see you guys later.